Okay, let us hope nothing changed. And I'm quiet again. Hold on. I don't know why this keeps happening. One second. All right, let's try that. Let's crank her up a bit, see how she does. Testing. All right, that's way better. Okay. There. Centered. Good to go. Sounds good to me. Awesome. And my input keeps changing. I don't know what's going on, but it is what it is. At least we're not going to spend the first 20 minutes getting everything sorted this time, which will be lovely. So, again, speech time. Anyone who is new here, once a week, I come on, stream live. I basically stream my nightly process that I do every night, and I post the results of everything you're going to see for the next hour or so over on statsedgetrading.com. If you want to give that a shot, as well as access to all of the tools I use, the scans, we have got a live trading room, not a signal service. I always like to preface that, but a place that we come and we hang out. We've got a live Q&A that's probably going to happen next week, just FYI for the pro members. Not this week, but next week. And then access to all the recordings of those. Again, my scans, my nightly watch list, all that. Check out the link in the description below. So let's not waste any more time. I think that was enough of a speech to get into it. I hope everyone had a absolutely lovely long weekend with crypto crashes and all kinds of cool stuff happening. And as always, that is where we will start. I'm going to find her here. Crypto. Make a new one of them. And charts. Twitter. I gotta share more stuff on Twitter. I gotta do better at social medias. Echo. Uh-oh. Sorry, what about this? Let me go back and check myself. I may have fixed it. Huge echo. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Fixed. Okay. I swear to God, I don't use this computer much. And it just keeps changing stuff on it, but that's fine. Up a bit. I think I fixed it, yeah. All right. I don't think I ranted much. I just talked about what a hell of a weekend it was, and I hope everyone had a good one. Fathers had a good Father's Day for those who celebrate and all of that. So again, I wonder if I do, does that, okay, that stays muted. So if anyone is new here, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Michael Noss. I'm a chartered market technician and quantitative trader. So I look at the markets from a trader end of things, where I look at the statistics first, and then I look better at the others. Look at the chart second. What we're going to do in this stream, if someone just stumbled across it, now that all the audio issues are hopefully fixed, is we're going to talk about Forex and crypto, and then the overall stock market as a whole and all of the different industries associated, and then into individual names, stuff that I want to put on my watch list for Monday's trading. If anyone has any chart requests at that time, you got anything you want me to take a look at, that last bit, that will be the time to do it. We'll go through and we'll chat through everything that, anything you guys want to look at, we'll do that at the end. There we go. when the sound stopped working, can we blame the algos? Yeah, this is the market makers, the hedge funds, whoever we're blaming that day. Or just say that what I'm speaking is so valuable that the man wants to keep me down. Whatever conspiracy theory is tickling your fancy at the time, it's the way to go. Have you heard of an order type called intermarket sweep order? Yeah, they just sweep the different ECNs. Just no. Ever since Reg NMS, all that kind of stuff's a bit useless. But all right, into Bitcoin. So we obviously had a crash since I saw you guys last. Right, I don't think that really shocks anyone in any way, shape, or form. We tanked pretty hard. So I don't really have much to add from that. I talked about last week how I had a stop order, a stop limit. Let's do that one. A stop limit order right in this area right here. I had been saying for the Stats Edge Pro members for a while, anyone in there can vouch that, basically the more times an area knocks on support, the less chance it's going to hold there. It's just working through that demand, and it cracked on the weekend, or I guess late last week, and then it's just kind of been crashing ever since. So, all right, here's my note: no end in sight. It's not the time to get a hero, right? If you're a long-term investor in crypto and you want to start dollar cost averaging, maybe, but there's really no reason to be super bullish unless you're an insane person. I think the area that everyone's looking at, but it's a pretty wide area, is kind of in this box. So we have, let's remove some of this. All right, we have the highs here that sit around 12,000, and we have the highs here around 18,000. This is interesting. At the same time, the anchored VWAP from the last crazy pullback in 2019, 2018, 2019, that brought us down to 3,000. That actually just got tagged and bounced from, which is pretty interesting. Let's tweet this out. I got to do more Twitter stuff. Don't tweet. Yeah, so, that's interesting. It wouldn't be enough for me just to plow in ahead of time. So if we're going to move higher, kind of what I'd want to see is a sideways move and then maybe a bounce. Could it just V bottom? Certainly. I don't think so. I don't see that happening, but again, the first rule of markets is absolutely anything can happen. So you'll never hear me kind of talk in absolutes. You'll never hear actually most professional traders speak in absolutes. You'll hear a lot of people who are, craving for attention speak in absolutes. Oh, this thing's definitely going to do this, or this thing's definitely going to do this. But, that's about all there is to it. Right. So again, not much to add on the daily chart. We had this sideways chop. We fell down. We're bouncing now from it, but it might just be a dead cat bounce. There's really no change in trend to be seen. There's really nothing out there. The bounce wasn't even that significant. Generally, if you're going to see a V bottom, they don't give you time to get in, right? The thing just kind of rockets right off the lows. So the fact that we're kind of just floating up, to me, I'm still short some, but I don't think there's any difference there at all. I think these informed trading, these might be statistically significant. I was thinking through reading all the Reg MS, better understand the market microstructure. I don't think any of that matters, to be honest, at all in any way, shape, or form. Any intelligent trading operation, any intelligent trading firm, any hedge fund out there, and this is someone, again, who worked in the hedge fund space and in the hedge fund execution space for 10 years, they're not using those orders, right? They're not they're not messing with orders like that. They're not screwing with, they're not stop hunting you. They're not doing any of these tinfoil hat things, right? If they want to get into stock, they will have some sort of kind of VWAP driven algorithm that will split their order up in a tiny and random way, in a way that no human being would ever understand, because it is actually random, right? The best way to be undetected in the market, imagine if you were a military commander and your opponent moved randomly, right? They just, you couldn't predict them, right? The only way you'd win is through sheer force. It's the same thing with these funds. They're not using meta orders and cross market and blah blah. They're not. They use random order types to get in and out of positions, or they use backroom deals where they find someone who wants to buy a bunch of shares when they want to sell a bunch of shares, and they make a deal that way, and then it gets printed on a dark pool later. Don't think too much about it. That game is over. If you want to start messing with order types, you're fighting algorithms, right? Like, it's they're not going to do anything that you can see. They're just not going to. And if this is, I think, important, so I'm going to rant for a sec. But if you can see it as a retail trader, an AI written by another hedge fund can see it, interpret it, and act on it way faster than you ever could, right? So one thing I really want to get out of traders' minds is these games like, oh, there was a huge dark pool print here, or oh, look at this big offer on the tape, or oh, look, they're using these intermarket orders, blah blah. No, they're not. They're taking a 1,000,000 share order and they're breaking it up into 100 shares at a time, and they're spitting those out randomly across the market with a random algorithm that could not be understood. Because again, if you can understand it, the hedge fund that has 32 PhD machine learning quants that they're paying $500,000 a year plus bonus, they've found it. Right? They've built an AI to monitor it, and they're taking trades off it faster than you ever can, right? So this is why you got to focus on the real market out there, right? Supply and demand and trends, things like these. And this is from, like, I paid off my entire university playing these games before AIs and stuff like that as well, right? So there's no way to sniff out a huge meta order. No. Period. Right? They will literally use randomness. So unless you're developing a tool that's smarter than all the machine learning engines out there, that is going to understand randomness better than you can, it's just not going to happen, right? You think about how easy it is to make a random number generator in Excel, right? I could do one in 32 seconds. I could open up Excel and make a random number generator. So why wouldn't a fund enter orders like that? If they want to buy Bitcoin and they want to buy 100,000 Bitcoins, why wouldn't they just hit a button on a random number generator and say, hey, you can't buy any more than 3 at a time, and you can't buy any less than 0.001 at a time, and then they just let it go, and it would be random. It would buy a bunch sometimes and others sometimes, and then they have a trader watching it, and if Bitcoin moves extremely one way or the other, maybe they turn the system on and off, but it's just not a thing anymore. If you heard about the new academic white sheet about inelastic market hypothesis. No. You can send it to me. I love reading that stuff, but there's no trading. Academic people are the people to avoid if you're ever interested in trading. All right, the academics are the ones that came up with the efficient market hypothesis, and I would love to sit down in a room with an efficient market hypothesis theorem and ask them to explain GameStop. I just say, okay, efficient market hypothesis, explain to me GameStop. Right? And just let them just try to spin themselves in circles, right? There is a lot of a lot of studying that we actually do in the CMT about efficient hypothesis, market hypothesis, and many disproving of it. And the main one, and this is why I always preach this, and everyone needs to understand, technical analysis works for the sole reason that markets trend more than if they were random, and that's it. So anyone who's playing revision to the mean games and thinking those are going to work, right? Certainly you can, just make sure you're grabbing kind of shorter term trends. But the whole reason that technical analysis works is that the market is not normally distributed, which means it's got fat tails, which means things that shouldn't happen very much happen way more than they should. And that's it, right? So that's why I boil my trading down really simply and just go, let me look for things that trend. An elastic market hypothesis tells us what we know, basically. Yeah, I'll Google it. I'll write it down here. But again, it's you would only hear about things in academia many, many moons after the market's already figured them out, right? That's one of the benefits of capitalism. It's one of the benefits of markets in general, is they discover things very quickly in comparison to. You think the S&P is a leading indicator for GDP forecasting? I think the market's a leading indicator of everything, right? It's a weighing measure. It's a valuing measure. It's generally academically studied to be 6 months more advanced than any kind of news or academic or news or economic numbers. The market is generally a leading indicator. 6 months to 9 months generally. So like 6 months to 9 months after a market bottoms, you'll get a, generally speaking, an economic bottom. And 3 to 6 or 6 to 9 months after a market top, you'll generally get an economic top. And it has to be that way, right? Because if it was the other way, then economists would be worthwhile and they would make money. And right, then the economists would become the traders, the people who could predict economic numbers the better. But, show me a rich economist, right? Who didn't get it from being employed from XYZ. What's the Warren Buffett quote? That if a company has 2 economists on staff, they have too many employees, right? The greatest investor of all time. The market's a leading indicator of just about everything, right? Because it's the people who move the market are the same individuals who will direct buying and selling and trading decisions within their own businesses, right? It's interesting to hear your views on randomness volatility. See, I always worried I'm just ranting. So, right, if you guys like it, just egg me on to more rants. I do a lot of thinking about this stuff. And it's why my trading style is so simplistic, is because the more you think about it, the more you realize that the only thing that there is trends. Trends and relative strength, right? The more you ponder it. Now there's variations of all that, but everything is trends and relative strength. I'm just making the note. Stick hypothesis. All right, so I went through lots of Bitcoin or lots of crypto coins there. And I like to summarize each section before I move on. For Bitcoin, it's this. Right? There's a saying that actually ends up being very true when it comes to trading, and that's in crashes, all correlations turn to 1, right? And any other people who are here that aren't math nerds, a 1 correlation just means that everything's correlated, right? You can't get a higher correlation than 1. And the reason that people say that is that when that fear hits and people start selling, they generally start selling everything. Now, there's a lot of information to be given there because what you're looking for is stuff that hasn't sold as much. So if Bitcoin starts to bottom or starts to base down here, I'm going to be working very hard to find the coins that are holding up the best. And those are the ones I'll be getting involved in on any turn. But I'm just not seeing that yet. We're still kind of in crash mode, so all correlations are becoming one. So, but just for the future, because I'm trying to, as we're trying to get the new baby to sleep more, I'm trying to do more videos. I might just start doing short videos and live trading and what's kind of lazy-ish content, but I could pump out a bunch of it. If I don't see you guys till Wednesday, and every Wednesday, if you're interested on this channel, I do a midweek market wrap up. Anything I'll be doing in the meantime when it comes to crypto is just looking at where the coins that got hit less than Bitcoin, or the ones that bounced before Bitcoin, that kind of thing. That's where I'll participate more likely than anything. So now we're going to look at the FX markets. Aussie yen continues to be awesome, right? I was in Aussie yen about here, and I got most of this breakout, actually selling my last lot up in this area when that candle reversed. It pulled back down. I snagged a little bit on the anchored VWAPs here. Just looking to see if we're going to base here for a little longer, and then I might take another leg. Again, just continuing to utilize trends until they end. Right now in Aussie yen, the trend is obviously up, right? When does fundamentalist say global views and industry component in knowing which? It doesn't. I look at charts. I don't look at fundamentals. Again, fundamentals are delayed and they're reported by the company after the fact. So I don't look at fundamentals at all. I feel, right? Again, fundamentals move after price. Everything, just to save you some time, every indicator, every fundamental release, every economic release, everything, it all moves after price, which is why we focus on price. Now, you could do something fundamental like saying, I like this company and what it does, and I think the growth over the long term is good, and then you utilize price in order to express that opinion, right? Don't buy something that's tanking because you think the company's good, right? A lot of people thought Peloton was good at, $150 a share. So if you still like Peloton, that's fine. You just wait for it to become an uptrend, right? So there's nothing wrong with combining them. Myself, I don't do it. How long did it take me to take my CMT? It took 2 years, but that's because I had to have a longer break than normal between two classes because of the pandemic. They canceled a writing while they worked on the remote proctoring. 6 months is kind of the minimum you could do it in. And it really all depends what's your experience with trading, how much time do you have to put into studying, that kind of thing. I had been trading for 10 years beforehand. So for me, it was a lot of learning what they described, right? So, there'd be a question, what would you do in this scenario? And it's like, I can't answer what I would do in this scenario. I have to answer what they want me to do. So I don't, I think the 6 month time frame, again, assuming you have enough time to study, I think is fine. I'm working on level 1. That's awesome, man. Level 1 was pretty straightforward. Level 2 was a monster, and then level 3 was pretty straightforward again, if that helps. But so we're going through traditional currencies now that we went through cryptocurrencies. And the only real thing that I'm kind of looking at here is this, I saw, JC labels them as this, and I like it, so I took that. But basically just looking at this huge resistance right here in Euro Pound, and it broke up over it and then just crashed back down. So I'm looking on shorter time frames all the time to short Euro Pound, just in case this rounded bottom fails. If we get back above this area, that's where I'll kind of go from there. GDP USD, just full disclosure, I always talk about when I'm in something. I am short this right now as more of a day trade than anything. And I'm long USD Cad, and I'm down $11 between the two of them. So full disclosure, there's more day trading positions, right? I'm just kind of short because it had this fallback, and then it's kind of put in this rising wedge. So I shorted in this rising wedge, just bet on the next move continuing based on the fact that the daily chart is in this downtrend and it's just bouncing a bit. So just FYI. And kind of the opposite thing with USD Cad. USD Cad had a pretty solid breakout here and a run yesterday, and then it pulled back into this area. So I just bought some here, betting on a bounce before a sell-off. And again, just full disclosure, those are more short-term trades, right? But again, it's just following the trend of the longer-term chart, which, you know, we got a nice big rounded bottom in USD CAD. I'm kind of betting, I'm hoping that we're going to break this top area. That's, you know, my target for the day trade would kind of be in this area. But that's all I'm looking for. And then GDP USD, again, we're just in a downtrend. So just like I was talking about with Aussie yen, I am trading the trend until that trend ends. And that's kind of all there is to it. But really, when it comes down to looking at the dollars, right, I have this note right here that just says US dollar to the moon. And it kind of summarizes everything that I'm looking at, is that if you're trading something versus the US dollar is just so strong right now that you have to make sure that you're participating in that direction, right? You have to look at this overall dollar average and just say, hey, this thing is wild. You know, if I'm shorting things versus the dollar here, I have to know I'm going against this kind of long outstanding trend, right? So that's why, right, USD CAD I can own, and then USD GBP I look to short, right? And then of course Aussie yen is not against either of those pairs, so I can just trade that independently, which is why I like to trade that. And then also gold, if anything, I'll be looking to short gold there as well, right? Experience of best place to convert. That's another bias I always like to point out with US. I am Canadian, so for me, the more up this chart goes, the happier man I am, because everything I do, I get paid in US dollars, and I don't really buy anything from the US. So I would love a good, like, you know, if the Canadian dollar dropped to like 10 cents, I'd be paid 10 times in everything. So I'm obviously biased for this rounded bottom to resolve upwards. That would just directly benefit my bottom line. Again, just I always like to give the biases when they happen. So that is crypto and Forex. Crypto's weak. The dollar's strong. Took us 28 minutes to get there, but that's kind of the way it works. Now that we're in the stock land, I'm going to go over to trade ideas here. So again, if you guys are new to this channel, I consult with trade ideas. Again, I like to put all biases. This thing's triggering me. I got to put it up a bit. There we go. Now I can see. You know, I like to put all biases right up front. So I do some consulting work with trade ideas, and I'm also an affiliate with any of the softwares you'll see clicking the link below. TrendSpider I use for crypto and all of that because Trade Ideas doesn't have it. And then for stocks, I use Trade Ideas. It's my scanning and my order entry software. We'll go to symbol lists. Let's actually just pop in ETFs here. Oh, last week? Was this last week when I went on my IPO rant? I think it was. I built something in Trade Ideas in the... I'm in the way. Hold on. It's moving. I've built something in here. I'll go there. In Trade Ideas in the Market Explorer for you guys who are Trade Ideas subs. If not, links in the description below. I don't know why it's not here. Interesting. Why is it not here? Sorry, 1 second. Okay, maybe I haven't reset this. 1 second. You have to reset your trade ideas. But I actually built 2 IPO scans into the Market Explorer. I'm actually looking at them on my other screen. Oh, and now I'm up $10 on my Forex positions. So dollar menu meals are on me, assuming there's no more than 10 of you here, which I wouldn't bet there is. I never have the number up. I just find it super distracting. Let's get this open. I keep forgetting. Make sure if you're using trade ideas, you just reset it every now and then, because any changes I make to the Market Explorer, you need to reset to see as well. I'm trying to figure out how to get background music. I don't care if they demonetize me, right? YouTube pays me like $30 a month or something, because I'm listening to music and I want to subject you guys to my music as well, I guess. Wakey, wakey. Oh, $15 now. Soon I'm going to be one of those Forex guys in a Lambo with my $15. So server window, and then we have 2 new scans right here. This one here is recent IPO sorted by range, basically. It'll take a second to load, but long story short, I quantified an IPO as a stock that did not have a 400 period moving average. So it's existed for less than 400 total days. And then I've just sorted them by the ones that are in the highest of their position of their lifetime range. So as long as they've existed, these are the ones that are just knocking above that IPO high, right? So like top, for example, right, popping up right near its high. MCIS, I actually bought some of this yesterday or Friday as it's breaking out of these highs here. And again, for anyone who doesn't follow me on Trader TV, which you should, every Fridays at 8:45, I'm on Trader TV Live, which is a big YouTube channel on YouTube. I talked about this on the Friday show, where basically I said that Joseph Fahmy, who's not a friend, really, I didn't know this thing, but he's someone I admire as a trader. He's been around for a long time, that kind of thing. He posted, and he basically said during bear markets, what I do, he's a longer term kind of guy, but he says what I do is I make lists of recent IPOs and I wait for those IPOs to kind of break out. The theory being that it's rarely the stocks that got us into the shit that will get us out of the shit. So he's looking for new names. And I liked the idea so much that I've been scanning these myself, and now they are just in trade ideas right here. So again, these are just going to be sorted. Now, most of these are in the shit, right? Most IPOs. I don't think I'm ruining anyone's world there, right? Most of them are getting hammered, but what I'm just focusing on are the ones that aren't, right? So anything that's holding up after that, after their IPO price, right? Like what are they not selling? What's got a shot here to be the next whatever, right? I want to be in that. Give me next Amazon or something, and we're good to go. So there's that one, and then there's also another one that is close to IPO price, and that's just exactly what it is, right? So all of these are going to be within the way I did it mathematically. These are going to be they're one ATR away from whatever the IPO price was. right? So darts, for example, right here, there's your IPO price, and you closed within one ATR, one average true range of that IPO price. This is going to drive me insane. It keeps... Oh. I need to just stop being so fucking cheap, pardon my French, and just get a real tripod instead of one of these weird arms that just keeps moving on its own. When they also mute your videos, I don't know. Hopefully not. Generally speaking, when I had music playing in the background, they would just say, hey, your ad revenue is going to whoever made the music, which it's like, okay, they can have the 17 cents. To be honest, I only turn ads on because I read somewhere that if you turn ads on, YouTube will suggest your videos more because they make money off them. And if you don't have ads on, YouTube doesn't make money and they won't. And that could just be complete horse poop. But that's the only reason I have ads on my videos. What do you mean stocks that got us into the shit won't be the ones that get us out, right? Basically, what I'm saying is the people who are focusing on Peloton, DocuSign, Zoom, these kind of stocks are probably, again, anything can happen in the market, but they're probably wasting their time, right? And one of the main reasons is they're bigger companies that have kind of stopped growing, but there's so many bag holders, right? So Zoom's $100 stock. What are the odds it's getting to $500? Right? Very, very, very low, because there are people who own Zoom from 500, 400, 300, and 200. And so then that creates a lot of overhead supply. As it's pushing up into these prices, there's going to be people who are saying, man, I've been underwater in the stock for ages. It's finally getting to my price. I'm going to sell. That creates a bunch of overhead. Oh, I'm getting triggered. That creates a bunch of overhead supply. So with that, the theory is, well, why not look for the new breed? You know, Zoom, Peloton, DocuSign, all of these things. Do I have to tighten something? There's something here I can tighten. Let me try that. And then, sorry, I'm going to just turn this off at some point and it's just being an ass. All right. That's as tight as I can make it. Yeah. So, right. Zoom, everyone knows what it does. They know exactly who they are. It served a need during the pandemic. That's really why it exploded. The idea is, why not look for new things, new companies in new sectors that will be the ones that generally carry us out. And the example that I gave on Trader TV, we have to go back to TrendSpider for this, because they have longer charts, is I showed this chart right here, right? So here's Microsoft, of all things. I see the S-arc. Right, so that's the dot-com bubble high. And the reason I pick Microsoft is because it wasn't one of these scammy fly-by-night internet bullshit stocks. It's Microsoft, right? It's everywhere. And even back then, they existed everywhere. So this was a not one of those companies that people were really concerned with going bankrupt. But because it was caught up in that tech explosion, this is 2016. So if you owned Microsoft anytime in this kind of area during the dot-com bust, it took you 16 years to get overhead. And you can see how it doesn't matter really where you bought it. It moves sideways for that 16 years. And then finally, once all of the bag holders were gone and it cleared overhead resistance, you got a great move out of it. Right? So the people who are now obsessing and saying, well, I need to buy Zoom down here because it's instantly going to V-bottom and spike up, I think those people are doing themselves a complete disservice. Because again, there is just so many bag holders here. right? People who bought here, people who bought here, people who bought here, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? Could this thing, could it be putting in a inverted head and shoulders here and it bounces to like 200? Certainly. A lot of these beaten up stocks are going to get massive relief rallies. It's gonna happen. But getting back to all-time highs and then breaking all-time highs and then going, it's just not going to happen. So the idea is, why don't we look again at the IPO market? Right, let's look at the new companies that are out there. All right, and we'll go from there. Thoughts on Gear? Oh, the guy, yeah, he's just going to release payment for order flow. That's it. He's killing payment for order flow. Right. I know that you typed a lot of things in there, but it's basically he's killing payment for order flow. And the only thing I say is welcome to the rest of the world. America is currently the only first world country on earth that still allows payment for order flow. So it means commissions will come back. That's it. Right? I don't think too much about that, because again, those are all like little finicky games that don't affect shit. Right? The payment for order flow isn't a reason that anyone lost money. Right? Payment for order flow isn't a reason that anyone makes money, except Citadel. The fact that you got screwed out of half of a cent on your GME purchase didn't affect your trading style or strategy. And it just means that instead of paying a penny in and a penny out on a free broker, you're going to pay $1 in, $1 out on a paid broker. And that will be it. There'll be no difference, right? There's no, anyone who you ever hear go, oh yeah, it's the market makers that got me, or the this or that or the other thing, is their trading sucks. They're just a shit trader. It doesn't affect any of that in the long run. So just continue to focus on your trading style and your trading strategy, and ignore all of that other horseshit that's out there. It's not serving you in any way, shape, or form. Right. Anyone who plays games in the market and tries to make money off games in the market is competing against Citadel and Virtue and Goldman Sachs and all of these things. And you're just not going to win. So why bother? Right? It's like saying, I'm going to go fight Mike Tyson because if I win, I could make some money. It's like, you could, but you're not gonna. So why not just focus on buying stocks in uptrend and selling stocks in downtrends, right? But yeah, that's all he's doing, is he's trying to kill payment for order flow, which again, it's the only country on earth that allows it. So, it won't be revolutionary in any way, shape, or form. You'll just be paying commissions. So looking at the equity markets now, looking at the S&P 500, just looks bad. Right. I know we are bouncing in the after hours. We're kind of in this type of area. So, maybe short-term bounce incoming. Certainly wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. But until the trend changes, it's going to be another bounce in an overall downtrend. And I'm not excited to buy bounces in downtrends. So, for now, it's just that, right? It's the same. It's like when we had this bounce, everyone was getting super excited. And the guys will tell you in StatSedge Pro, I was telling people to chill. Same with this one right here. And if we get another one, I'll still be telling everyone to chill, because until this trend reverses, we're in a downtrend. And it was the exact opposite. I was telling everyone to calm the hell down during every one of these dips, right? I knew traders who were like, oh, that's the end. That's the top of the market. Oh, that's the top of the market. And I'm like, okay, we're in an uptrend. Chill, right? These are just pullbacks and uptrends. Again, the only reason that technical analysis and trading works is because trends persist longer than they would if the market is random, right? That should be like a mantra that you tell yourself, right? So now we are just in a downtrend. So will there be relief bounces? Oh yeah. And we know statistically that the biggest bounces always happen in bear markets, right? That shouldn't surprise anyone. You know, if you go down 50% and then you bounce 20%, right? The bounce is way less than the actual drawdown. If you bounce 50% and then you rally 50%, this might actually be a better, right? So that's a 50% decrease, right? And obviously a 50% increase is going to be less than that, right? That's just how percentages work. But a lot of people say, oh, I'm only down 50%. I only need a 50% move to get back, which is hilarious, of course. But so are we going to get massive rallies? Sure. And if we take a look at the SPY here, like this rally, I think was around 10%. Where this one? Yeah, that one was around 10%, 8.5%. That one is around 10%. That one's around 10%. Right? And that's, so yes, there will be big bounces. I won't be excited about any of these big bounces as a turning point in the market until we get a higher low. So I need to see a bounce, a low, and then a higher low. So I keep this note on here. Just wondering if we're going down to these pre-COVID highs. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'd bet on that, but it really wouldn't shock me at this point. Now, if we are going to see bounces, which I think we're going to, then what we need to look for, this is what this scan right here will tell us, is what are the most, what are the sectors putting in relative strength right now? Right, because I want to look for whatever's holding on the best. Right, so we have DBC. DBC is just an ETF that recommends the commodity index. UUP is the dollar index. That doesn't shock us. But basically what I'm doing is I'm sorting all of the ones close to the high of the their range, right? The high of their upside range. Gold, maybe. Right, pull back in gold, maybe just a bear flag going on, but actually holding up okay in comparison to a lot of other things out there. So the reason I go through this is I just, again, want to find the relative strength. And I want to point that out so that when I do my scanning, if I see a gold stock, I'll say, okay, well, you know, is this thing just hanging out in this range? Right? Are we just kind of in a base? Again, I take all these screenshots and make all these notes because after I'm done here, I'll put together the Stats Edge Pro nightly blog post where I just kind of, any chart that I think is very important, I'll put in there just so that everyone has a general thoughts on my market. And then I post my watch list. XLU came all the way down to support here. So that's interesting. XLU being your utility stocks, which generally perform well in more bearish markets simply because, you know, if we are going to go into a recession or the economy is going to turn to shit, well, you still need water and you still need power and all of that kind of stuff. So they're not exciting stocks, but it's been the unexciting that doesn't work very well, or that's been working the best. So I want to stick with that. Other than that, everything's kind of following the market because, as I talked about before, you can see that in crashes, kind of all the correlations turn to one. Even Berkby, who was the kind of winner of all this, is selling off a bit as well. So I don't think that really shocks. It's got to hit. They hit energy at some point. I think that trade was just getting super, super crowded. I'm going to put XME back on here as well because this is another metals kind of play. Relatively strong in comparison to a lot of these other things. Yeah. Also, what I want to point out, but kind of nervous about, is it may be time to start looking at China. Right, KWeb is putting in this nice big kind of rounded base right here. So, if it breaks above and starts pushing higher, it may be time to look at names. And if you want to talk about relative strength, you have to talk about KWeb right now. The last 3 or 4 days on the market were straight down. So massive. Right. I don't like buying and holding Chinese stocks overnight because they've tanked their market a few times before. But as a systematic relative strength trader, I may have to do this, right? And so keep this. Let's just do this. Let's unpin or unlink that, and let's make this a daily chart. And then let's put this on the SPY. Right, so you can see what the SPY's done over the last handful of days versus what KWeb's done over the last handful of days. So if there is anywhere that you're going to say there's relative strength, it's in China. Again, you just have to be a little bit nervous when it comes to looking at that. Again, just holding overnight. But I will go where the relative strength is. That's what my trading plan says. Anyone who doesn't have a trading plan, won't shock you if you follow me to hear me say you're doomed to failure. So you have to have a plan and you have to follow it. So, KWeb is strong. That might be where you want to go. It was interesting to see TAN and PBW get some flow as XLE started to fall off a cliff. Kind of makes sense. TAN being your solar ETF, whereas XLE is the other side of energy. So it makes sense that, they could be inversely correlated. TAN was pushing down as XLE was popping up for the last period of time. So that doesn't shock me too much, and yeah, XBI, I've noticed a few times this double bottom here on XBI. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but you are right that XBI has actually been putting in some relative strength. So again, these are ugly, ugly charts, but you got to go where the strength is, right? You just have to. And, right now, anyway, XBI and KWeb are kind of the strongest that I've seen. So that's where I have to focus. So, kind of what it is, right? And that's kind of my summary, I guess, of the ETF market, where everything looks bad. There's no reason to be a hero and try to say that we're going to just switch from a downtrend and an uptrend out of the blue. If we are, they will give you time to get in, right? I always go and show people the crypto crash here in case they're worried they're going to miss it, right? And most V bottoms end up looking like this. You get your massive bounce, you get your pullback that puts in a higher low, right? This is where my higher low play comes from. You can go back in time and you can see this pattern. So here was the 2018-19 bottom. This was, if anyone was trading here, this was pretty deadly too. But you get your bounce, you get your higher low, and then you can participate in your higher low, right? So there's a lot of people out there that I think they're like, okay, I need to catch I need to catch the bottom. You don't, right? Don't kill yourself trying either. Right? Find the stuff that's holding, find the stuff that's putting in higher lows, and participate in that. If you're bag holding Zoom or Peloton or something, I'm sorry. I don't think you're getting your money back ever. Sorry. Right? It sucks, but so many people got bought into the the hodl. They can practice with real knives, will save the money. Yeah, we've all done it. Like, I'm not sitting here as a high mighty. I've never bought a shitty stock thinking that it was going to bounce. And if you're buying Zoom and Peloton here, maybe you'll do great. But I'm more speaking to the guy who bought AMC at 60 and is just saying, I'm going to hold it forever. The guy who bought GME at 400, the guy who bought DWAC at 150, right? The Pelotons 500, like, these things are not coming back. If you want to play a bounce, that's great. But, it is as it is. And quicker they go, okay, let me take the tax loss, build a trading plan, move on with my life, the better off they'll be. It's just unfortunate to see people who just kind of like hold stuff to oblivion. But all right. So now's when we go into, let's go through the list as it was on Friday and remove anything that's no longer valid, and then go from there. BANF. I'm in this one, but I got to take it off the list because I don't think it makes sense to be in it. That was just a very simple pullback to the anchored VWAP play. Chopped around there for a bit, popped in that one so far. HRB, I'm going to leave on the list. This thing was just an absolute monster, and now it's pulling back. So if we can catch a nice little pullback there, that'd be great. LU, this one actually, I think, ended up on TI strength this week. So keep an eye out on that. That's a relative strength algorithm I built for Trade Ideas. 2 Chinese names ended up there, which is why I knew that I wanted to look at KWeb today. Because there's not much on the relative strength list right now. So yeah, just like KWeb, right? Obviously down a lot from its highs, but holding nicely. So, it's one of those, do I think LI is going to get back to like all-time highs here anytime soon? Absolutely not. But if you buy it at 6 and you sell it at 8, you're a happy camper. That's what we do as traders. We don't hodl forever and marry things, but that's what we do. UTHR, I'm going to leave this one on. I'm not in it yet, but it still looks pretty good to me, right? We've had this prior resistance right here, then acting as support right there. Just trying to see if this is kind of my favorite play. If there's one thing I could do for the rest of time, it'd be this one as well. This just basic play. So if we get a pop from there, that'll be great. If not, we know exactly where our risk is wrong, right? And if you want to see USD Cad, right, remind you guys why I'm in that trade. I might be getting killed on it right now. I haven't looked in a second, but same thing. Right? Prior resistance right here. 1, 2, 3. Breakout, pullback, right? Just buying the support. I know I'm wrong if we kind of hang out in this area for too long, and I'll be right if we can take out this high and move a little higher. So the reason I love these trades is you're talking insane risk rewards. Right, so that would be a 7 roughly risk reward, which means for every $100 I have at risk, I would make $700. And if I can do that, 3 or 4 times a week across a couple different instruments, I'm a happy camper. I think that worked. I just had to tighten it, but so that's the same kind of thing I'm looking at UTHR. So now is when I'm going to start scanning, and it's also when, if you guys have a stock that you want me to look at, my OCD's triggering me there, this would be the time. They bought memories, I guess. Yeah. Well, again, I was rooting for the guys, the apes. I liked their, stick it to the man. There was a time where GME was legitimately shorted more than was in it, so I was with them. But I'm a trader, right? I've told you guys a few times I owned GME. I bought it in this area. And when it spiked, it was, of that year of 2021, by far my best trade, by like a factor of 5, I think. But I got out because I'm a trader. So you got to get out. You don't make the money until you're out, right? So this is the bull flag scan in Trade Ideas. It's just looking for just that. Just looking for bull flags. I'm going to add some. I know there's going to be a lot of Chinese names in here. I'm going to add some of these to this list. EDU from TI Strength last week was amazing. I'm still in it. The entry was right above this little tiny black candle right here. That happened. It gapped up, but then it came back down. When it popped through, that's where I picked some up, and it was great. I'm still in a chunk of that. I got out a lot on actually just the second day as this thing was rallying. When it closed, I got out of most of the position here, and I'm still in a little bit just in case things go wild. So I love this one. What do I think of LI? I think LI is on the list. It came out yesterday, so anyone who's a TI sub seen it already. I won't go through the whole list, but there's 2 Chinese names. No, that was LU and VIPs. Okay. LI looks good. It's a little extended for me up here, but it's got this wild resistance going on at like 36. If it gets through that, then that's great. Little too long to get there. So maybe a pullback, right? If it's going to smack its head into this resistance, I don't think I'd buy it right here. But, if you see a pullback or you see a base under this resistance, then I think you could get a push from that. When are you going to start trading ES futures? I don't know. This Forex prop firm that I partnered with and I'm trading lets me trade gold, and I may ask them to let me trade futures as well, but that's all scalping stuff. I could trade the indexes if I wanted to, but the reason I trade the individual names instead is because I value the moves that you can get out of those individual names, right? So, if you're right on a futures trade and you get a nice 4 or 5 days hold, you're going to make 2 or 3%. Whereas if you get a nice, like Mike's, for example, which I'm in, if I'm right on this one, I could get 30, 40, 50%. So I stick to FX for that reason. My Canadian dollar trades, we're down $40 now, guys. Can I start a GoFundMe? Every time I look over there, it's because that's where I got my FX trading. This ENLV is interesting. It's a low float. What do they do? Security screening products and artificial intelligence based blah blah blah. But it's a nice rounded bottom with some consolidation going on here. It's this one's American, so that's interesting. So it'd be what, 350, kind of 250. So I think I will add that one to the list. there's going to be a lot of these that end up going on the list where you're going to notice that because the market has been tanking so much, you're not going to find a lot of stuff in really sustained uptrends. But what you're going to find is stocks that over the last handful of days has put in some relative strength. So if the market's going to rebound, you're going to pick some stuff up that's going to have the same kind of move, right? So 3.5, 2.5. So basically just, right, gap down has reclaimed that gap area. So those guys are gone, those bag holders. Right, yeah, so if we could get up to 450, that'd be great. Yeah, and just a nice rounded bottom looking play. Keeping it basic. And you're going to see a lot of these that look exactly like K-Web. Oh, I'm going to just murder someone with this thing. Yeah, so, you look at this and then look at K-Web. Same thing. K-Web. Right, they look the same. So you got to find something that has some kind of a difference with the two of them. So I want to find things that look like, extraordinarily better. IQ looks okay. Again, a lot of these things are going to have the same pattern. They're going to be hammered, but they're going to hold up. And this creates one of the most frustrating moments in trading, in which I'm going to pick like 2 or 3 of these Chinese names to watch and guarantee you that, the 5 that aren't on the list are going to be the ones that really rocket it. It's just the nature of it. It sucks, but it's just the way it goes. Oh, we're sliding again. The moment I'm done this, I'm Amazoning. Oh. Okay, and then I just turned it off. All right, we're going to Amazon. I don't know if anyone's a nerd like me. Oh, look, for the people in the room. Where do I see? No. There's the fish. That's where the fish picture lives. Alco's hiding the truth with the flat earth. Sadly, I know flat earthers, like, personally. And it makes me very sad. Like, for humanity as a whole. There. Just balance it right on the monitor, Michael. Yeah, if anyone's a nerd like me and you saw Apple's WWDC, where they're actually adding, because I use my phone as my webcam because it's nicer than $400 webcams that I've bought. They're building into the operating system the ability to do that natively, which is probably only cool for people like me. But yeah, so this is the other Chinese name that made TI strength this week, and it's because it's holding up. I like this one as well, and I may actually just copy this play. The reason I like it is because it's holding up technically above these little bases, where if you look at K-Web, it's holding technically below this support. So this is stronger than that, and that would probably be it for Chinese names. That's 2. I have LU and VIPS, which are the 2 TI strength ones. It's probably going to be the max of what I'm going to put on. I don't want to really push it and have, I generally split my portfolio into 10 max. So I don't want to have 4 or 5 of them be China in case Xi Jinping's they call him Winnie the Pooh, is yo, yeah, guys, we were serious about tanking our economy that time. So we're going to tank it now. It's funny. I don't think I have my passport, but I actually have a Chinese visitor's visa in there that's valid for a year. Now that I said that and they've got me on some list, I got to make sure I don't go. So we're going to go through this list here, and then I'm going to go through the IPO list. And again, if there's any charts you guys want me to take a look at, let me know. We're down $24 right now, so we're bouncing a bit. I generally don't look at my Forex positions these much. Forex for me is something that's very much has a profit target and a stop loss, and then I just leave it and check on it like every few hours. But it's there, and it's the only market that's open that I care about right now. I don't care about Bitcoin until I won't care about Bitcoin for months, right? I need to let things move, right? Yeah, as long as you didn't say it on TikTok, I think I do have a TikTok. I just repost the same stuff I put on YouTube on it, but I do not like have TikTok on my phone. I did that once, and like 4 hours just vanished. Yeah, there's some serious mind reading going on with that one. All right, so again, this list is just looking for recent IPOs that aren't horrible for the reasons I talked about before. Again, this Mike's I can't put on the list in good conscience because I'm in it, but this one's very interesting. I didn't realize how microscopic the float was when I got into it. Like just like tiny, like the whole company's worth $17 million. So I'm sure if we all got together and pitched in, we could buy it. It's a karaoke company. So I did pick it up really small because I'm experimenting with these new IPO ideas. But, you know, if you see Mike's double or something over the next couple of days, I'll certainly be happy. But yeah, here we're just looking for, you know, IPOs that are pulling back or they're holding up very well. Ideally, not something in the oil and gas with everything else, but new scale power. Proprietary advanced light and small nuclear modular reactor technology. Like, see, that's interesting. So 1050, 950. Let's add one just so people can join me in my experiment. Oh man, when you add on the pre-SPAC data there, that looks gross. You have to cut that out. Anytime, just FYI, if people are there, you're going through charts and you see something just batting along 10, like a long period of time like that, just cut that out of your analysis. It means that was what it was doing pre-SPAC. Oh, now we're up $4, guys. I can cancel that GoFundMe. So really, I'm just interested in this one because a big rounded bottom and the massive relative strength to the overall market, right? The market has gotten murdered the last few days, and this thing, they're holding on pretty well. So I'm just going to do a simple, if it breaks out of this resistance, I'm going to get in, and if it comes under this resistance, I'll get back out. So it's just 10, spot 5, spot 2.5. And the idea is there's certainly no bag holders in any of these. Well, there's your SARC, that brand new IPO holding up near its highs. SHLS. Didn't I have this on the list at some point? No, that doesn't look familiar. Oh, I could have sworn I did. Yeah, I could have sworn this was on the list at some point. I like it. It's holding up near highs here. It's a big kind of rounded bottom. SR is the future. He timed the release of that IPO just flawlessly. So no, I'm going to add this one to this list. I don't have notes here, which makes me think that I didn't have it on the list, but it rings a bell. So no, I like that one. So it's like, you know, you do 20 and then 17. And again, these are never, generally speaking, my entry or my stops. These are areas to watch. I do not believe in I'm going to buy stuff here, everyone join me because I'm a guru. So that's not what we do here. It's more of this is where I'd be interested in getting involved, and then look at the stock when it gets to that area. Now we're down $15. I hope you guys like this running commentary. I should keep it going on Twitter. As an inside joke, I'll just post the number for the people that were in the stream. All probably 6 of you. I'll just post the number all night and all morning of these 2 FX positions. SYM. I think I talked about this one on Trader TV as well. I think this is like a water. A automation-based platform technology traditional warehouse. So again, I'm looking at these, and then I'm looking at the SPY, right? SPY is getting absolutely killed. So this is important to always keep this in the back of your mind when I'm looking at it, knowing that I'm a relative strength trader. So SYM here, when the market was getting killed, is holding up. And it's got this kind of $17 area that's very interesting. Then your stop's at 13, right? So these are wide stops. Then I like to go into, okay, so that's really interesting as well. Again, keep this out of your analysis when you come to indicators and price action, all that, because this was when it was a SPAC, right? But the fact that it rocketed from being a SPAC and now that it's holding is very interesting to me. So, right. So that's 17. And then your stop's probably around here, around 13. So you have to, and part of the reason that I put that difference between the two of them is I just kind of say, oh man, yeah, okay. Oh, cool. I got your DM there. I just moved it off screen. Don't want people reading stuff, but yeah. So I like the fact that when it de-SPAC'd, it turned out great, pulled back, and now it's holding higher here. So if you zoomed in on this 30-minute, right now you're talking a little kind of cup and handle look. But the reason I put these numbers here is you got to know that's wide on a percentage basis, right? So you're risking on a percentage basis a lot, which shouldn't be a problem for people that follow me because they should be smart enough to go, okay, well, that means I just size down. Hertz. Remember when Hertz went bankrupt? And then a bunch of idiots on Reddit bought it and it rocketed. We're back up at $1.04. I should cash out now, take my $1.04, go down to the pub and order a third of a beer. On SPACs, you watch things like warrant being called or insider lock update to make sure you don't get an overnight surprise. I don't. Generally, I'll always just go over to the news tab and see if I see anything. It's one of those that I'm so split up anyway. My theory with news surprises and stuff that over the length of my career, because I trade small enough, I will get as many positive surprises as negative surprises. But it's not that I don't see the logic there. I guess it's probably more about laziness than anything. because quite often you can have something come off a lockup period, and then all of a sudden, right, everyone dumps it, all of the insiders that are trapped. Part of my theory being too that if I'm getting thing that's rallying to new highs, the odds that they're just going to dump their stock in the face is lower. Most people dump their Coinbase and stuff on day one. UVIX, 2x long VIX futures. There you go, addicts. You can do some math, and now you can play a 2x long VIX ETF. So that's going to hurt a lot of people. DocGo. Mobile health services. All right, so the last list we're going to look at here, and again, I'll take chart requests if anyone has any. It's one of the reasons I do these lives. I like shooting the shit. We'll dip into TI strength. Maybe I'll just scroll down a bit so we don't go through. The problem with TI strength right now is that half of it is inverse ETFs, which is hilarious when it's saying what's the strongest stuff in the market. It's inverse ETFs. I'm waiting for an update to the system that will allow me to pull out ETFs from scans that I don't want them in. So there's LQ. So this one's interesting, but it's a REIT, so it's not going to move very far. There's VIPs. Again, that's on the list here as well. I like the idea behind this one. Just a nice long rounded base and some relative strength to K-Web. ADMA is interesting, but it's slow, right? What I'm meaning when I say this is that's $2 and that's $3, right? So then the question is, how much money do I have to plow into this thing in order to make it worth my time? And when they're that cheap and they don't move that much, I get a little bit of nervous because I'm holding a lot then, and because they're cheap, it's a small move is still a big percentage move. I hope that makes sense. Does ONEM? I don't play double bottoms, but yeah, well, you got a base to play off of, right? If you like this one for whatever reason, it may be putting in a higher low. You can just say, hey, if this holds 6, you're good. And if it makes new, a saying I love in trading is if it makes new lows, you got to go. I think it started to rain. Oh, we're down $70. I got to start that GoFundMe up again. See, like a lot of these look good too. You'll see me skip a lot of these that have this kind of nice cup and handle look. But this is, pay attention up here. I love this feature in Trade Ideas. This window right here, I think, is the most underrated window that Trade Ideas has. Just a quick glance of what's the float, what's the short float, when's the next earnings date, right? Change certain price. You can put whatever the hell you want here. But just what does the company do and what country it's in is just a nice information kind of glance. Some news must have hit somewhere. I just see the Forex stuff going a bit wild. Single stock window, yeah. Yeah, I just think it's the most underrated. You can customize the hell out of it, right? It's got news. It's got stocks that are similar or in competition to what you're doing. And again, I'm an affiliate. If you use the link in the description below and buy Trade Ideas, they'll pay me. And I also consult with them for I'm the resident math nerd. Again, just full disclosure on that. But so now we're into the other day. Let's do one more. But yeah, this I think is just a great, like, when I compare, because I have a TradingView account and I'm also an affiliate with TrendSpider, and I use them, you guys saw, all day for some stuff. What was I looking for? Oh, this MACD trend play put some interesting stuff in it. So I use TradingView and I use TrendSpider and I use a couple other. I use MT5 for my Forex, and then I use Interactive Brokers for my equity trading. So I have experience with lots of other platforms. So I just mean that this single stock window, I think, is just incredibly underrated, just to get a quick snapshot of whatever I'm looking at here. This scan right here is an interesting one. It's one that I built. We now have the MACD indicator in, so I'm going to do some playing with that. Again, I'm not an indicator guy. I don't believe in these. I make the scans for people that do. This one's basically looking for, if you're new to the MACD, if you're trading, it's just two moving averages crossing, simply put. If you're above the zero line with these two moving averages, that's considered in a bullish trend. And if you're below, that's considered in a bearish trend. And then a lot of people will take when they cross as a signal. So what this scan is looking for is the MACD to cross up while being in the uptrend area. So what you'll see things that are in uptrends. Obviously not a lot of them right now with the market. But you'll see things in uptrends that are moving higher, like Go, right? So this just that MACD cross right here. For me, it's kind of late, like a lot of indicators, but there are people that like them, therefore we'll do them. And kind of same with the moving at this MA buy signal. It is a 50 period moving average and a 13 period moving average, and it's just looking for them to cross, but while the moving averages are both pointing up. Again, just to try to get a signal to kind of buy in an uptrend, and we've got those for different time frames. I scan them. I look at them just if I'm looking for more ideas. I don't think there's any power in the indicator, but you can always just take it as a scan result and then kind of narrow in as well. Yeah, some news must have hit something. My Forex is moving, and not in the good way. I'm going to have to start that GoFundMe. This is something else I actually meant to, that made me think of it. So if we go begin date, 20th, end date, 25th. So this is basically all of the economic events happening this week. So, there's Aussie. I'm not in anything Aussie related, jerks. Yeah, so then I just go through and I look. This is Forex Factory. I'm not affiliated with them, but if you're interested, there's some interesting one is here. Basically what it does is it color codes. So on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m., we have JPOW testifying. And then again on Thursday. And that's about it for big news. We just need to get that guy to shut up for a while. What's my profit system for profit taking? Depends on my strategy. It's all in my written trading strategy. Everything will be a little different. I'm more of a sell in parts kind of person. I know mathematically it might not be the best correct way, but that's if I'm swing trading. If I'm day trading, I generally have a stop loss and I have a profit target that's 1.5 to 2 times my stop loss, and I just let them go. But swing trading is going to be different than day trading, and that's going to be all developed in your individual system, right? SIGA was a big mover recently. It's interesting. I wouldn't buy it here, right? Just because it's already just bounced from 9 to 11. But it's holding up. You know, generally speaking, when you get these massive push-ups, if within, you know, the next few weeks are still holding up, that's promising. Often you'll get them spike and then kind of immediately crash. So that's better than not. So let's just quickly go through the stocks on the list. And then if there are no more chart requests, I will be taking off for night. I haven't heard any screaming in a while, so that means that Charlie's probably in bed. So I should probably be as well, because he never stays there. So EVLV, again, just round at bottom with a little bit of a flag going on here. HRB, we're looking for that pullback on this really, really strong uptrend. Kellogg's, same thing. We're just looking for a pullback. As long as it holds this zone, I'm interested, but I need to see it bounce off before I'm really excited. LU, just a massive round at bottom there. This SHLS, just nice. I like the gap up, some kind of news. It held that gap and now it's pushing higher. SMR, just a recent IPO or de-SPACing. I'm just going to use the words interchangeably. I just think if it kind of breaks through here after holding with some good relative strength to the market, we could get a nice pop up there. UTHR, that's the old two-timing bastard play. So prior resistance acting as support. And VIPS, another China play, nice rounded bottom. I don't know why this drawing didn't work, but just a nice rounded bottom here with some relative strength to not only the SPY, which pretty much everything in China is doing right now, but also into KWEB. So just if we're going to trade these things, we're going to understand that we are trading counter trend right now. So, you know, we're not going to hold these things hoping for a massive bounce to the moon or anything. What we're trying to do is we're just trying to get a little bit of an oversold bounce in the market, right? If we can be kind of loaded up on an account for a little bit of an oversold bounce, that's fantastic. And then we'll just, hopefully take that little bit of an oversold bounce and then just put that money in our pocket. If the market continues lower, we'll be out, rinse and repeat, right? As the market sells, we're building a list of stuff that's not selling. As the market bounces, we're participating in the bounces, right? So that's my general bear market trading style, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, guys. So during that rant, I didn't see any more questions. I'm still working, right? Yeah. So I didn't see any questions, so I'm going to take off. It's 9:30 my time, so it's a good time to call it. Again, if on your way out, if you could leave a like, that'd be fantastic. YouTube yells at me all the time that I need to ask for those more. I appreciate everyone coming by. Generally speaking, it is 8 p.m. I think this is going to be the time frame going forward. So it's either going to be 8 p.m. on Sunday, unless the market is closed Monday, and then it'll be 8 p.m. on Monday. So 8 p.m., that's my time, right? I started, so 7 Eastern, sorry. The day before the market opens is going to be the best way to look at it. I think that works pretty well. The first time I looked, we had 12 viewers. That's better than kicking the teeth. So again, thanks everyone for coming out. For the Stats Edge Pro members, I will be uploading all of the stuff that I did to the blog post very soon. And then I'll just ping you all in Discord and saying it's done. So have a good one all. Have a good night's sleep and trade safe tomorrow.